Hey everybody, welcome back to Historical Lights Nightly Chat and Toast. Got our co-host with us, Brother Robert Marshall from down in Waco. How you doing, my brother?
Doing well here. Beautiful day of weather, and plugging right along in the pandemic boat.
Fantastic. Trying to get our other screen pulled up here. We also have a big deal guest with us this evening. Most worshipful brother Darren Kellerman. How you doing, my brother?
I am doing great. It's our 42nd episode. I love it. I'm here.
Get that double audio turned off. Finally got the other screen pulled up. Well, hey, man, we really appreciate you joining us this evening.
Well, it is great to be here. I think. I suppose you're putting on the spot after a while, but
the night is young. You don't exactly know what's going to happen yet.
No, I don't.
Well, we've had our share of brass on the show this evening, but not this evening, throughout this last 42 days. But this is the first night we've had the big deal Kellerman with us.
It is the first night. I've been in the audience many times.
We appreciate that.
You know, it's great to be here with the director and the assistant director of the Kansas Lodge of Research and the hosts of Historical Light podcast.
Thank you. Well, you are a host as well, and that's something I definitely want to spotlight this evening. What is this show you've got going on? I'm hoping everyone that's watching this has seen it, but if they haven't, you guys definitely need to check it out. Give us a quick plug. What is this show you got going?
Well, it is a hit and miss show called Squarely on the Level. Over the years, we've had some questions that come up between Grand Lodge stuff, and being a behind the scenes guy, I'm able to provide some insight into that stuff that people want. And from time to time, I do post that. Over the past year, I haven't done a whole lot because the Grand Masters and Grand Lodge officers have been all over it and pushed some stuff out on social media with me. So we haven't had a lot of Squarely on the Level here lately, but it does happen here and there.
It's good stuff, man. I've really enjoyed those episodes you've put out. It's fantastic, and it's neat to see something like that coming from the Grand Lodge level out. We don't see that nearly enough. So I think you're bridging a very important gap there.
Thank you,
Brother Robert. You guys do anything like that down in the Texas side? Do you have any kind of Grand Lodge media that goes out in that fashion?
Craig Enderly down at Cedar Bayou Lodge, he's on our Grand Lodge Internet Committee, and he's been doing a pretty good job starting January of churning out pretty regular videos that are pretty well made. And there are rumors of a Grand Lodge podcast supposed to start a couple of my buddies sometime starting within the next year or so.
That's cool, man. Very cool news. Well, let's see here. We've got a bunch joining in with us this evening, getting some comments rolling through, and I say it every night, but I'm going to say it again. If you guys are watching live, make sure that you hit us with some comments, because we can't see your name unless you drop a comment. We can just see that little number up at the top. So we want to know who you are. We've got, man, sitting at 47 live viewers right now, so that's awesome. Let's see who we got. We've got Most Worshipful Morrow joining with us. Brother Bowen's back. Brother Marvin Fletcher back. Got my wife, of course, getting everything shared out. Man, she's been awesome throughout this whole thing. Obviously, this takes a little bit of time from the family away each night, but they have been super supportive. My wife's been behind the scenes every night getting that shared out. So really appreciate the labors there. We've got Brother Trevor Lycombe. He's a guy from my lodge. Good to see you, brother. Hi, Most Worshipful Cole Presley's with us this evening. Brother Maddox is back. Most Worshipful Talbot. Man, we've got some brass here. What did you do, Kellerman?
It is the 42nd episode. This is a big one for us.
That's right.
For you.
That's right.
I heard they're copper, not brass, right?
It is slung copper.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, we've even got Grand Secretary Most Worshipful Bloom joining us this evening as well. So, and the list goes on. So really appreciate each and every one of you joining in with us. If this happens to be your first evening with us, we've been doing this throughout the quarantine, where we've kind of vowed to come on every night. Historical Light. If you're not familiar with the podcast, we do a YouTube show, an audio syndicated podcast. You can check us out at historicallight.com. to find out more, or we have the group on Facebook, Historical Light Masonic Research Group. But within fashion of that show, for these lives, we come on each night, 8:45, chat with the brothers, share a little bit of history, and we end it off with a traditional 9 p.m. toast. So a lot of you have been here every night with us, and that is greatly, greatly appreciated. It's just such a pleasure to be able to share, 15 minutes with you guys every day. And it's been fantastic. I'm kind of bummed out. It's drawn towards a conclusion, but I could also use a nap. Well, most worshipful Kellerman, I think you have some history to share with us this evening, I heard.
I do have a little bit, but I would like to say thank you to everybody that commented and liked on our posts over the past several days. I know there's some folks watching from my work and from my page that are not Masons. And so we welcome everybody to this Historical Light podcast. And before we go any farther, this page normally just has longer episodes, but since this lockdown, they've been doing these short 15-minute bursts. And I encourage you, if you haven't already, make sure you like and follow this page. Make sure you set your notification bell as well. So there's a gratuitous plug for you, brothers. And I also want, for those brothers who are not from Kansas, I just want the people not from Kansas to understand that Kansas was doing the virtual education stuff before your jurisdiction was. Kansas Lodge of Research, these two guys right here were doing that. So we've got those still available on the Kansas Lodge of Research site. If you want to join up, that's great. If you write them a paper, they get you into reduced costs, all sorts of stuff. But we're doing virtual education for the past year or two. We're going to be doing it in the future. Make sure you get it with us on the Kansas Lodge of Research. These two guys put in a ton of work for that. And their paycheck, well, here it is. There you go, guys. Yeah, we appreciate it.
All the corn, wine, and oil we can stand.
But
we appreciate that, man. It's true. Yeah, well, virtual ed, man. It's been in the mix for a couple years now. It's been going great.
It has been great. It solved a lot of problems that were evident with the Lodge of Research that most states have of trying to find a date and a location. And this Zoom meeting thing or whatever, the Join Me, whatever people are using is really great. So there's been a lot of good things come out of this health situation. And Kansas was using it before. We didn't need the pandemic to do that. And our Grand Lodge, the leaders have really been encouraging of that. So this is great. So even after this, I know you guys have talked about doing maybe a toast a week or something, and we look forward to that. But tonight, when you told me I was going to be the guest for the 42nd episode, being a Mason, I know that we can make anything Masonic. So I had to find something for the number 42. And I think I have it. And I just want to start out when people talk to me and they say, Darren, we really love what happened in 2016. You were up there with Grandmaster Larry Coleman on the steps of the Capitol there in March. And we rededicated that Capitol building. And I don't know what to say to that because I was just a figure there that day. And people are, oh, no, you weren't. And the reality is there's so many people behind that. Grandmaster Larry Coleman and I were just figures up there, and we were trying to do, I won't say we were trying to do something historic, but people deemed it historic. I showed this earlier with the kids today. This is one of the things that came out of it. This type of gavel did not exist until after that. I didn't make this gavel. Another Mason did. And there are only a few of these out there that are made by a Mason who's a wood turner. Happens to be my father, actually. But that was something that came out of it. The people that were behind that, I can tell you that Michael Stoops, Johnny Eves, big players, Tracy Bloom, Bob Shively, huge players behind that. But even before that, the Grandmasters of Kansas and the Council's administration, the Jeff Souders, T. Michael Fegan, John Mowen, Forrest Haggard, there's a whole bunch of people in Kansas that allowed that to happen. But I'm trying to get to the 42 here. I'm getting to it. So stay with me, folks. Stay with me. There was a guy named Wesley Rickey, and he was born in Ohio in 1881. And he was born to a poor farm family. He was the middle of three sons, and very religious, very hardworking family. Learned the value of education and hard work there in Ohio. He went on with his brothers and stuff. They went on to get their teaching certificates, and his older brother had went to college, and he came back in 1895, and his brother had become a Mason, and his brother had also been involved in baseball, and his brother was a left-handed pitcher, so, and he needed a catcher, so old Wesley became his catcher, and they caught the fever, and being in Ohio, they were Reds fans, and Wesley went on and he played some college ball for, wrote it down here, it's like Ohio Wesleyan University. And I thought that was kind of cool. Wesley went to Wesleyan University. And he did that at age 19. But in 1903, he was pretty much done with college, became the coach. And as a coach of Ohio Wesleyan, he had a black player, only one, and he was a catcher. And they went to play Notre Dame. They had some issues getting into the hotel because the man was black. And Wesley talked to the hotel clerk, and they finally decided to let him stay in Wesley's room. And there was a discussion there that would forever stay with Wesley. Wesley went on to play he had a contract with the Reds, got purchased by the White Sox. He was traded to the St. Louis Browns. He was kind of a horrible player, 0-3 in his debut. But the cool thing about this, when he was playing for the Browns, he took time off in June of 1906. And actually, it was in the May of 1906. He took his entered apprentice degree on May 31st and then got married on June the 1st. Then went on to have the best season of his career, finished like batting 284. I'm coming to it. 42 still in here. Some of you may know it, but hang on with me, everybody. So he goes on. After that great year, he plays here and there. He ended up getting traded out to the New York Highlanders, where he had a horrible year, and he's in the Hall of Fame. This Wesley Rickey is in the Hall of Fame, but he's also in the Hall of Shame because as a catcher, he had 13 bases stolen on him, and he quit right after that. He later finished up his degree work in 1908, went on to manage and blah, 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 blah. But in 1912, he's managing for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And I think that's right. I'm sorry. We'll skip a few years. About 1942 for the Brooklyn Dodgers. How's that? And he's doing pretty good. But things are still haunting him from back when he was a coach at the college. And he's a very religious man. He wants to make things right. And in 1945, he starts talking to people, and he wants to bring in a black player to Major League Baseball. Now, Wesley Rickey, he's already developed a farm system. And that's pretty cool because Wesley Rickey's a Mason. He developed a farm system. He developed the sliding pits that people use, batting cages. He started the team air travel. He did things they were called knothole gangs to get the kids in for free to the ballparks. He also developed the batting helmets. But Wesley Rickey, we also know him as Branch Rickey, is how we actually know him. He signed Jackie Robinson. And the thing with Jackie is he had to pick that right guy. And he told Jackie, we're going to have to do this. He put him through the minor league system. And after 2 years in the minors, he brings him out to the major leagues. And there in April 15th of 47, number 42, Jackie Robinson starts at first base for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Not saying that's a Masonic influence, but you can definitely see with Wesley, Branch, Rickey, a lot of the qualities that he had and some of the things that he did. And that was a time when that was very volatile. And he had told Jackie, for 2 or 3 years, you cannot speak up. You cannot speak out. You just have to take what those people are going to give you. You have to be restrained and all that. And though Jackie was never a Mason, I would say that he acted very Masonic in what he did. It's because of things like what Branch Rickey did that allowed us to do what we did in 2016 at the Capitol there in Topeka. And I know a lot of jurisdictions, they can't do that. There's some jurisdictions that's even thought against. Good evening, Patrick Carr and Jared Atkinson. Thanks for joining us. But I'm very proud here in Kansas, the relationship we have with our Prince Hall brothers. Every year that I know of since the late 90s, we've been meeting with the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Kansas working together. and things have gotten greater and greater. And that thing at the Capitol building, that's all fine and dandy. We put that all over the paper so everybody would know what was going on. And that allowed us to do a lot of things in Kansas. We had a joint table lodge. We had a joint raising of Master Masons. And there's been a hell of a lot of good stuff coming out of here in Kansas because of our relationship between the two Grand Lodges. And for anybody that's still got this problem, get over it, folks. We Masons get it. We talk about being brothers. That's what we are. The only color we got is the square and compass laying on that Bible or whatever religious book you got right there. That's it. So my toast tonight as we approach the 9 o'clock hour, and I had a glass at one time from the table lodge that we had with the Prince Hall folks, but I gave it away. I sold it at a charity auction. This gavel right here, this is on loan to me because we gave it away. Well, I gave it away. And Brother Michael Stoops, it's on loan from, he was going to want it back, but he's got that apple masher now. But a lot of guys out there. So my toast tonight with the milk from my kids to the past, present, future Masons, their ladies, their families, to the people that have benefited Freemasonry throughout the ages.
Masonry throughout the ages. Cheers.
Cheers.
Fantastic share, brother. That's good stuff. And that event was phenomenal. I mean, that was a highlight in my Masonic career. Being part of that it was excellent. Very, very good. Now you before I forget, first of all, we hit 71 live viewers at one point there. That's fantastic. Apparently this guy down here is big deal because he brought on some viewers this evening, so that's fantastic. But before I forget, we're well, Brother Kellerman was so gracious to kind of plug our virtual ed program. I didn't get the email sent out today, so you guys are going to get to hear about it first. We have our next Kansas Lodge Research virtual ed coming up on the 11th, and it's going to be, our guest speaker is none other than Right Worshipful Brother Stoops, and he is coming on. Let me pull this email up again. He's going to be talking about the future of local lodges and grand lodges. And reading the blurb on there, I'm not going to give it all away. It sounds pretty intriguing. So these events are for Lodge of Research members only. You've got time. I really, really encourage you to check out kslor.org and hit membership there. And if you're not a member, sign up. Consider petitioning, because some really, really cool stuff coming out of it. So
Alex, before we go,
yeah,
I have a ton of stories. I'm like, I guess, an old sports announcer. I have a ton of stories, and several people that are watching have heard this, but it's about those people behind the scenes. And this one involves Brother Stoops, actually, and he hates to hear this story because it's a very personal moment for all of us. We're at the Capitol building on, my note says, Friday, March the 18th. And Brother Stoops is one of the guys, along with Johnny Eves and Tracy, that have really put all this stuff together. Tracy Bloom, current Grand Secretary. Johnny Eves was, I think, the Grand Lecturer, but he was one of the guys for the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge putting together. And by the way, shout out to Johnny Eves. We had planned that whole thing, and we were doing the cornerstone dedication, and we forgot the damn cornerstone. Yeah. So 11th hour, we're like, hey, Johnny, can you get us a cornerstone? So he came up with us a cornerstone because we originally wanted to do the Washington hanging cornerstone on the Lewis and stuff, but the Capitol grounds folks said, yeah, not going to do that. You're going to crush our sidewalk. So Johnny had to go out and find us a stone to rededicate. So we're trying to get 700 people back, or 800 people back to the Capitol Plaza Hotel. And it's been a typical Kansas day. It started out fairly warm. Then as we got there right before noon, it started to rain and drizzle, and it switched over to a light snow as we were concluding the ceremony. A beautiful Kansas day. Great turnout. We froze our cans off taking that picture. The buses are all gone, and there stand Grandmaster Coleman and I. Not sure how we're going to get back to the hotel to complete the annual meeting. Brother Stoops comes up and says, I have you a car. And it was felt like we were the president. It really did. It was the craziest thing. We're standing there on Capitol Square, nobody else around except for Grandmaster Larry Coleman, Darren Kellerman, Michael Stoops, and up pulls this black SUV just right there. I mean, wow, that is awesome. And Michael opens the door for us, and we get in, and then he shuts the door, and he's just standing there. So roll down the window, Michael, how are you going to get back? I'll find a way. Are you kidding me? He just put us in the car, has no way of getting back. So get in the car. So he gets in with us. And we're sitting there, and Grandmaster Coleman and I are conversing. And Michael turns around and just says, thank you. And he tells us a very personal moment about some things that had happened where he'd almost given up on Freemasonry. And by the actions that had happened, he says his faith had been renewed or something to that effect. And there's much more to that story, but that's for Michael to tell and not me. And for Larry Coleman and I, we're just stunned because what we did wasn't about two Grand Masters. It was about two Grand Lodges fixing some bigotry that had occurred in our state previously and making a public showing of that. There's guys out there right now like Michael Johnson, who was a master at Lafayette Lodge back in the 90s. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't be able to do what we did. And that's a story for another episode. But at the end of the annual session, this gavel, and there are 7 of these gavels out there, Alex, in case I haven't told you that whole story. But there are 3. Well, there's one draft edition that you had a hold of for a while. And I know Michael, I think, snagged that from you. But this was made, the draft, and came back, and there's some Masonic symbolism to this, especially for you people not watching. I might point out there's 3, 5, and 7 of those right there. And who knows, there might be some other stuff on here as well. At the end, so I had one, I was given one of these. Grandmaster Coleman was given one of these, and the Grand Lodge of Kansas was given one of these. You know, I'd served as Grandmaster, so I used this, the dedication, I used this in the annual session, and then I put it in the charity auction because that's what we're all about. Well, Brother Stoops bought this for a considerable amount of money. And he walks over to me and hands it back to me. And I was just in awe of that. And I, like, no, we're not going to do that, and give it back to him. And then we fought over it over the years. But it's guys like that that make our craft great. The guys who are the Wesley Rickies of the world that aren't doing things to make a name for themselves. And it's guys like you and Robert that do this show for 42 episodes when you don't have to, that put together the Historical Light podcast when you don't have to. And now they're doing it all over, not just the country, but around the world. And now tonight with us, there's still 59 people watching right now that are being influenced by what you guys do for Freemasonry. And there's non-Masons watching this broadcast. There's ladies watching this broadcast. They're not exposed to Freemasonry because of what you guys did, because of your love for the craft. And I know I speak for myself, and I'm going to say for Grandmaster Borum, Grandmaster Morrow, Talbot, Bloom, Presley. I'm sure that Grandmaster Yancey is watching, Past Grandmaster of South Dakota. From all of us, we just want to say thank you to you guys for doing what you do without any asking for a reward or anything like that. And we wouldn't give you one anyway, but I'm just saying thank you. So end of my speech. Thank you guys for what you do. Thank you for inviting me on. Again, folks, make sure that you hit the like and follow button for this before we go tonight or after we go, and share this out. Or go back and look at some of the previous episodes. There's 41 other episodes, none with a big as guy as me, of course. And that's all by weight. All by weight. And that's all it means. Go back, look at the other episodes. There's a ton of great information. This is a great thing. Share it out, talk about it. And for those non-Masons, go to www.kansasmason.org. Find out more about the Grand Lodge of Kansas.
Wow. Very, very humbled, brother. Thank you so much. And, you know, to that, yourself has also been a huge impact on my Masonic career. Brothers like you, brothers like Right Worshipful Stoops, and so many others that you named tonight and out there have really been those building blocks for me. So, that's the wonderful thing about Masonry is it goes round and round in that manner. Brother Marshall, I'm sure, has just as many names he can list off that has been those supportive building stones for him. And, to be able to pass that on is that's what it's all about. So thank you so much, brother, for all you do and everyone else out there, Right Worshipful Stoops and everyone that's been mentioned tonight. Because of all those individual actions that come together as that larger collective action, that Freemasonry is able to proceed and be the great thing that it's supposed to be. So it's just a pleasure to be a part of it, honestly. Brother Robert, you got any thing to wrap up with?
That was a very good story. I enjoyed hearing it, and I appreciate you sharing it with us.
Fantastic. Well, most worshipful. I'm not going to mess that up. Get thrown under a bus there. Whoa, geez. Got demoted. Most worshipful, has been awesome having you on. Really, really appreciate you coming on the show this evening. I got corrected actually in the comments. I want to say his brother Lyle corrected me and said we actually hit 72 at one point. So fantastic, phenomenal show out. And we'll have more to view this on the recorded edition. We're going to get these uploaded to the YouTube channel as well, and might even audio plug them onto the podcast side as well, because it's all historical like content. And we really appreciate the opportunity to be able to plug that out to you guys. So check in back with us tomorrow, because quarantine isn't quite over yet, so neither are we. So we'll be right back here tomorrow, 8:45 Central Standard Time, sharing a little bit more history, chatting with some brothers, and of course, end it off with a 9 o'clock toast. So till tomorrow, stay safe, be well, take time to save some history. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.